Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the front rack, okay? I've been seeing this a lot this week. We've been doing some front squats, pressing, and then thrusters. So seeing a lot of people struggle getting into that front rack position. And why is that? It's going to be tight triceps generally and tight lats, okay? Because if this is you and you're in that, I'll show you first off a good front rack, right? We're going to be in this position fully across the shoulders. I've got my wrists outside my shoulders and elbows, and I'm able to keep that up without arcing forward. Okay, so this will be the first fault. If I arc and let that chest kind of flare out first, that is a sign that I'm compensating because my lats are so tight, and the only way I can do that is by putting my low back in extension there. So we don't want to do that. So tight belly, and I can rack here the whole time. Okay, otherwise I'm seeing people with those elbows, this is as far as I can get, and this is where they can rack that bar, and it becomes a restriction for them. Otherwise it's just cranking on their wrist. A lot of people say, oh, it hurts my wrist. Well, if it's hurting your wrist, that means it's a tricep issue generally. Okay, I'm not gonna say always, but generally, when you have that wrist pain, right in that crease of that wrist, it's because the triceps are really tight. So think about it. If I'm doing this, there's no problem, right? Tissues are flowing normally. Once I start to tighten that tissue, everything becomes tightened. I'm pulling through here, I'm externally rotating, and now I have a load on there, okay, which is gonna pull even more. Now there's no slack in tissue to be able to give my wrist any more slack. So everything kind of starts to pull right here because that's where everything's coming through and all the load is bearing down on that wrist, and that's where we get that pain. So if you can loosen up that tricep, so I usually describe scrubbing on a barbell or even your foam rollers, you can relieve a lot of this pain in your wrist. To recover that front rack position, one of my favorite two stretches, if you don't have a partner one is the best way to do it, but here's one we can do. You take a thick band, okay? We're gonna step inside of that thick band. We're gonna grab it, and we're gonna come over the back, okay? Now, if this is tight enough for you, that's awesome. We're gonna let that kind of pull, and the goal here is to keep that elbow close to my head so it doesn't flare out and open. Okay, so right here, I'm just gonna I can take a step back to give myself a little bit more, try to keep that chest down because I don't wanna be doing that for compensation. Allow that to stretch out, and I can feel that all running through here, all the way down. Okay, so we're gonna loosen that up. We're gonna hang out here for a little bit. We're gonna try to breathe, concentrate on that breathing that tells my central nervous system to relax. And then we'll go through some PNF. PNF is proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. It's just a fancy word for basically, I'm going to take a deep breath, and then I'm gonna kind of pull down on that band, so I'm squeezing my lats and triceps, pulling that band as far as I can go. And then I'm gonna exhale and see if I can get a little bit further. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of squeeze for 5 seconds, hold, and then relax and let that go back, okay? So that's gonna allow me to regain some tissue restriction in that, okay? So that is one way that we can recover getting that tricep open and the subscap and into that lat. Another one that we can do is a great one. So you're gonna tie this up on something at the top. You can do this on a rig as well, but you're gonna put your elbow in. Okay, so elbow in, and then we want to come to the outside of that band, okay, so that I'm on the outside. And then you're going to walk through, same position, get that up here, and then that same thing. You can do that PNF move where you're going to squeeze down, and then relax and let it go back. And you can notice I can regain a little bit each time. So squeeze and relax. And that's one way we can do, or two ways we can recover that front rack position. And you can tell, once I get in this front rack, I've just worked my right side. And I don't really have a bad front rack to begin with, but I can already raise that up with no issues. And this one's a little tight because we just did thrusters. I just did a little bit of mobility, and I can pretty much lift that elbow, no problem. This one's a little bit more restricted. So you can see how I've recovered it. So if you guys want a better front rack, that's some ways you can warm up with it and then also recover, get that tricep going so it takes it off the wrist and opens you up. Good luck, guys. If you guys like these videos, give me a thumbs up and shoot me comments. I love seeing what you guys are having trouble with, and then I'll make you guys a video. So give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next week.